Welcome and thanks for joining us. My guest today is Jason Warfield, the head of solutions and adoption engineering at Cisco ThousandEyes. Jason, thanks for joining me.
Hi, Justin. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you on to offer your perspective. And before we dive into some of the topics we've been discussing during the Cyber Leaders Exchange, I'd love if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and ThousandEyes and what you all do.
So, my name is Jason Warfield. I lead the Cisco ThousandEyes Solutions and Adoption Engineering team globally, and I'm based in Washington, D.C. And ThousandEyes offers our customers a platform that really helps them assure the performance of digital services and mission critical services, and also gives them visibility that can be leveraged to really protect against cybersecurity threats as well.
Yeah, well, that's perfect because we've been talking about how to protect, federal agencies, critical infrastructure from cybersecurity threats, which we know are only growing and becoming more complex. And I'm wondering, from your perspective, at a top line, what do you think some of the keys are for organizations, for an agency, for any sort of organization to secure their increasingly complex digital supply chains?
As you're well aware, cybersecurity threats are really top of mind today, and really what we're seeing is just a significant increase in attacks coming from really all over the world. So part of the thing that we try to partner with our customers to help them do is one, just assure the availability and performance of citizen-facing services, mission-critical services, the ability for employees of the agencies to be able to access the services they need to be productive in support of the agency's mission. But also, one of the things that customers need to be aware of is, in some cases, it's things that should not be accessible or visible or advertised publicly or across the internet. So we also help there, making sure that those things that should be secured and offline are not publicly visible.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and that's always a nightmare scenario for a CIO or a CISO to realize that your sensitive cloud environment or something was accidentally left open to the public. I'm wondering, what role does things like continuous monitoring play in that, and how organizations, agencies can protect those critical services both internally and externally?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, continuous monitoring, really, in one sense, is provides confidence that the services that are being developed and made available are not just up and running, but they're performant. And if you think about, they need to be accessible nowadays from either specific parts of the country or in some cases, from all over the world. And there's a lot of different combinations of technologies and networks and vendors that often have to support delivering these services. So when you think about continuous monitoring, it's not just about the performance of that actual service or application. It's really what we refer to as the ecosystem that needs to work together to make sure that those services are being delivered consistently, they're delivered at a high level, and the experience accessing those services are what's expected. But the other thing to think about is a lot of the technology that those services are critically dependent on, the agencies don't always own and or control. So, part of what the visibility we provide helps with is understanding if there's, macro level problems, whether those are internet or service provider problems, or potentially problems in cloud hosted environments. But being able to understand if there's a problem, what is the impact on that service or on that agency? The other thing too that gets factored into this as well is being able to essentially optimize performance too. So, giving customers information they can use to make changes to the environment or changes to their the partners that they work with in that ecosystem that will allow them to continuously improve performance over time.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I wanted to go back to the ecosystem issue that you mentioned. We've seen software supply chain security become a major emphasis, both under the last administration and now under the Trump administration. It was highlighted in President Trump's recent cyber executive order. And there's been a lot of work on this issue over the last 4 or so years. Where do you see kind of the best practices being today here in 2025 when it comes to software supply chain security for a big organization like a federal agency?
So best practices, yeah, there's a number of things. Certainly, we're seeing agencies adopt that really help assure resilient, I guess I'll call them services. In addition to the continuous monitoring you just talked about, I think part of it is as these services are being built and developed, making sure that you're constantly, testing the performance of those prior to them being rolled out into production environments. The other thing that I think is important is it's important to have visibility to be able to discern between is this a unexpected but a non-targeted issue that's impacting a service, or is this an actual attack? And I think having the visibility in real time to be able to understand what is preventing a service from being made available and being able to quickly identify, is this a security related threat? Or is this something that's just an unfortunate issue that's impacting that service at a point in time? Because the response to those are going to be very different. So I think being able to make those decisions immediately in real time and being able to take the appropriate either manual step or in many cases automated steps to identify, respond, and resolve those issues are critical in today's environment.
And it seems like context is really important to what you're describing in terms of being able to understand, oh, is this vulnerability a critical one for my organization or is it not? Is this issue that I'm seeing going to be, is it an attack, like you said, or is it just an anomaly? Um, is data kind of the key to getting that context, multiple types of data from different areas and bringing that together? Is that really the key to getting that context so that you can understand the best course of action?
Data plays a huge role in it. And when we talk about data, it's not just real-time data, it's also having some historical context. So you understand how things have performed over a period of time, or things like look at it from a cyber security perspective, understanding the paths and how things have been routed, and have there been any changes introduced into those routes, or have there been potentially any of those routes that may have been hijacked, whether intentional or non-intentional. So when we talk about data, data plays a huge role. And I think it's both that real-time visibility, but also the historical context, which allow you to understand, is this a malicious action or change, or is this something that happened in the normal course of, just an unfortunate but unexpected issue? The other thing that AI is really allowing us to do and our customers to do, more importantly, is to be able to identify issues that maybe they don't bubble up to someone taking an immediate action, but they're recurring, they're consistent, they're chronic. And this is where, when you talk about continuous monitoring, really you want to talk about continuous improvement. So, leveraging AI to be able to identify these things that historically may have been more of a needle in a haystack or more of a nuisance, but not something that really is going to warrant an action. And this type of information can be used proactively to continue to improve the resilience and performance of critical services.
And bring this all together within the context of zero trust, because we know that that is kind of a high level cybersecurity mandate for federal agencies now, and they're kind of moving through the different phases of zero trust. How do these ideas around, optimizing performance and operational resiliency play into what agencies are doing with the different facets of zero trust architectures?
Yes, zero trust is great in the sense that it provides a lot of flexibility and to some degree simplicity in terms of really being able to provide a minimal level of access based on role. And then, regardless of where the users are, they have access to the services that they need and they're entitled to access and use. Um, Now, the implementation and the validation of the zero trust access does provide some challenges, however. So, really, first and foremost, it's making sure that not only is the access provisioned properly, but the individual, based on their role and access privileges, can get to the services they need wherever they're choosing to access those. And that often changes in today's hybrid work environment. But the other thing is making sure that that individual group of individuals only have access to the services that you expect them to be provisioned for. So that's where, being able to validate and make sure that they don't have access to services outside of their roles and responsibilities can be key. So I think it's really a combination of assuring productivity and access based on role, but also assuring that, based on those roles, they don't have access to any services that they should not be provisioned for.
And I guess that gets to the identity management piece of zero trust and kind of combining that with the data provisioning pieces and bringing that together.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, that's where when you look at, Cisco as a company being able to provide platforms that don't just focus on one area of security or cybersecurity, but being able to really help companies with everything from identity and access management to zero trust, being able to provide a holistic view in terms of security, and then, also integrating the ability to assure the resilient performance of these services. We really feel strongly that the platforms that we offer, or the platform, I should say, that we offer, really helps to unify the visibility, puts agencies in a position to not only assure their security posture, but also make sure they deliver for the citizens and also the employees of those agencies. And then when there is an issue that needs to be addressed, being able to do that in as efficient and effective a manner as possible. And increasingly, we're seeing more and more automation being integrated into those workflows, much of which is starting to be powered by AI.
Yeah, let's key in on that. AI and automation, you have to talk about it in every single one of these types of conversations. What is being automated? What is being perhaps turned over to AI type systems within the different functions that you just described? And how is that helping agencies and other organizations just be more efficient and get after some of the more pressing and complicated work?
Sure. So we're seeing really AI be used really across the life cycle. So on the front end, from the initial onboarding, deployment, configuration of the platform, from a day-to-day operations, there's really two aspects. One, AI being leveraged to whether it's I more effectively identify a security threat or being able to identify the impact on an agency or given service. But then, when individuals need to understand and respond to those threats, leveraging AI to really, I'll say, translate things that can be very complex and technical into plain language that can be understood by a very broad group of people that can then either take the appropriate actions themselves or route those actions to the individuals or groups that need to respond. And then increasingly, we're seeing more and more of those responses being automated. And that's powered by really a combination of AI as well as automation, where if there's things that have a predictable response, we're seeing our customers essentially automate those and have the technology actually drive those, unless there's a specific need for an individual to get involved in that process.
And we often talk about, workforce development, workforce training during these types of conversations. And uh, in terms of what you just described, is the workforce kind of, where it needs to be in understanding those types of things? Is it still very much a work in progress when it comes to training people on these tools? Or how do you see that playing out?
So on the tools specifically, I'd say a few things to highlight there. One, the goal is to continue to make the platform as simple as possible to deploy, operate, integrate, and leverage. The other thing, as I mentioned earlier, being able to leverage AI wherever possible to translate things into either very easy to understand language or to allow the users to interact with the platform in natural language. And then the other thing that you're seeing more and more of is just integrating, I'll say, training or enablement or education into the platform natively. So you have, you walk users through initially so that they understand the concepts and they're in a position to really be able to use the platform without having to spend, hours, days, or even weeks in some cases taking training. And then certainly for folks that are interested in learning more, we have the ability to, or need additional help, we have the ability to, with the click of a button, be able to access an expert, as well as make additional training available, usually in shorter form, online, self-paced manner. So it's really a combination of things that we're doing to make the platforms as easy to deploy, operate, and receive value, and really to raise a level of awareness and understanding across the users that are accessing and using the platforms.
Yeah, and it sounds like there's a fair bit of agentic type AI in play there, just in terms of the training and interacting with users and things like that. Is that kind of where you see this going in terms of, or I guess how is that going in terms of what you're learning about deploying agentic AI and what the feedback has been from the users so far?
So yeah, so in terms of agentic, I mean there's certainly uh, different agencies and customers are in different levels, I guess, of maturity there. So initially we're seeing more leveraging of AI and still having in many cases a human in the loop. But a couple of things that we're looking to do to position our customers to be able to take more advantage. One, and as we embed AI, really not just identifying issues, but recommending things that can be done to resolve those issues, making it easy to either to automate those either within our platform or integrating with other platforms and workflows. You'll see, from a Cisco perspective, one of the things we've introduced is just a single unified AI assistant across all the platforms. So that just makes it very easy to interact with not just one product, but really the broader set of products that make up the platform. But then also being very aware and conscious that customers are going to have a multi-vendor environment. They're going to have some of their own technology. So really having very open systems that can exchange information, that can also be used to drive automation and allow a lot of that automation to be powered by Cisco related technologies and AI as well. So it's really a combination of things we're seeing, and we fully expect we'll see more and more agentic AI used, more and more fully automated workflows. But we're really meeting our customers where they are today.
And yes, speaking of that, just taking a step back, obviously we're talking a lot about how federal agencies are trying to become, more operationally resilient, as you've put it. Why is that important? What are some of the ways that the services that agencies are providing are changing as they go digital, and how should we be thinking differently about securing those, not just, kind of from that like, oh, we have to make sure everything is locked down and cyber secure, but thinking about that a little bit more, as you put it, resiliently.
Yeah, so you think about many of the public-facing services. Uh, Many of them are digital today. We're increasingly making more and more of the services available in a digital manner or self-service manner as we move forward. Which is great, right? And it's very efficient. We can kind of access the things we need from home or from wherever we may be. But at the same time, that means now you have critical services that are internet facing, that are visible and available in potential attack surfaces. So it's a combination of wanting to making sure these services are available, giving citizens the ability to access them in a self-service manner. The expectation is 24/7, 365, but then being conscious that there also are going to be malicious actors who are aware of the existence of these services and going to try to exploit and leverage those as an attack surface. So it's really balancing the availability, the performance, but also the security of these services, and I think that's really what's top of mind for most agencies today.
All right. And in terms of things that you're watching in this space, we've talked a lot about different cybersecurity topics. What's top of your mind as we move forward, as the federal government moves forward with its work under different cyber efforts and perhaps some future ones that might crop up in the not too distant future?
For me, what's really top mind is just staying aligned and engaged with the strategic initiatives for our customers. Not so much the short and near term ones, but really the intermediate and longer term initiatives. And then making sure that, as we're thinking about our strategy and our roadmap and the value we want to deliver for our customers in the future, that we're delivering the technology, the capabilities that will really help our customers, successfully deliver on those strategic initiatives. So a lot of what I'm really focused on now is more forward looking and just making sure that, we're thoughtfully developing our solutions to address not just the current needs of our customers, but really the future strategic needs as well. And you're always balancing that, of course, against the backlog of things that you already want to deliver for customers based on their current needs.
Yeah, it seems as if we're always trying to balance the past problems and the future challenges and everything in between. But this has been a great conversation. Again, I'd like to thank today's guest, Jason Warfield, the head of solutions and adoption engineering at Cisco ThousandEyes. Jason, thank you again.
Thank you. Enjoy the conversation.
Yeah, it's been great. I'm Justin Doubleday, and you're watching Federal News Network. Now, let me send you back to the studio for more on the Cyber Leaders Exchange.